Hi guys, it's Sherry. I hope that you're having a fantastic day. I love making bags, and today is no different. Stay tuned. Welcome everyone to my channel. I am so grateful that you are choosing to spend some of your day with me. And today is going to be so much fun because we are going to do the upscale on the cheap. And here's what I'm talking about. You guys know how much I love making bags, purses, and boxes. And I love looking for unique ways to make it. Well, today is going to be one of those ways because this bag is made using something very inexpensive. So y'all know what time it is? It's time to make it. All right, y'all, so here is a closer look at my awesome water-resistant bag. It is amazing, and I'll show you what makes it amazing in just a minute. So we have a nice little bag that we can use to gift, sell, or keep. If you have a water bottle that you've frozen and it's got some condensation on it, no worries, because if you put it in this bag, even if it does sweat and have water droplets on it, water resistant. So here's what we're going to need to make it. It all starts with these Dollar Tree chopping mats. There are 2 in a pack. These are 11 by 14, and we will be using both. So to make our bag body, it is going to cost us $1 because we'll be using these chopping mats. And I want to thank my sister Teresa for this amazing idea. She participated in one of my swaps recently, and she made a bag using the chopping mat so that her loaded envelope wouldn't get damaged in transit. And I thought that was brilliant. And I did tell her I was going to have to hijack that idea and use it on the channel. So I'm going to take it one step further, show you how we can cover it and still keep it water resistant. And then I'll be using some of that wonderful black and white contact paper that I got from the Dollar Tree. You don't have to have this black and white contact paper. You don't even have to add contact paper because even if you just use this, it is going to be water resistant. Okay, so each pack contains 2 of the 11 by 14 cutting mats, and they really are very pliable and easy to work with. You just have to give them a good impression when scoring. And that's what we're going to do first. We're going to go ahead and make our scores. So I am going to score mine on the shiny side up because I want the dull side to be on the inside of my box because it doesn't have that glossy feel that the shiny side has. So on the shiny side up, I am going to score at 3. And I'll go over this a couple of times because I want to make sure that I have a good impression. I'll flip it to the opposite 14-inch side and score at 3. Then I'm going to flip it to the 11-inch side and score at 3. Now my scoreboard won't go all the way down, so I will have to flip this going up so that I can finish off that 3-inch score. So all I did was flipped it. Going to go back to that 3 inches until I meet the original 3 inches. So hopefully you guys are able to see my score marks in this. I'm going to do the same thing on the second piece. So I'm going to go ahead and score on the 14-inch side at 3, score on the opposite 14-inch side at 3, and then I'll rotate it to the 11-inch side and score again at 3. And then I'm just going to flip it, go to that 3, and meet my original 3 score mark. I am not going to fold and burnish at this point. What I am going to do is I have 2 corner pieces on one of these pieces that I'm going to get rid of. And guys, I apologize for the glare of my overhead lights. On certain projects, it will show more than other times, and this is one of those times. So I am just going to remove this corner piece all together. And then I'll come over to the other side and I'm going to remove that corner piece. Then I'm going to take my ruler and I'm going to place it right here, and I'm just going to remove about 1/8 of an inch because it's just easier to join these two pieces when one is slightly smaller than the other, and you'll see what I mean in just a few. So I can take this piece and set it to the side. Now we have this piece. So on the other one, we removed the corner pieces all together. We're not going to do that on this one. We are going to take our finger blade, scissors, or X-Acto knife, and we're going to cut straight out on the score marks. So let me go ahead and do that here. And then I'll angle in here and I'll angle in here. It's really thick, so you have to make sure that you are bearing down to get that nice cut. And then once you have the cut made, I am just going to reduce that. Maybe cut it in half. We'll come over to this side and do the same thing. So I am going to go to the score mark and cut out this piece, and then I will angle in right here and remove that piece. Trim away this. And then I'll angle in right here at the bottom and trim away that. And now I'll just cut that in half. And so now we have a piece that looks like this. So we still have our tabs on the end, and then we have this piece, and we'll be joining these two pieces together, bottom to bottom. So before we do, on the panel that I removed my end pieces from completely, I am going to reduce these two side panels because I don't want all of that bulk. Now, you don't have to do this step if you don't want to, but I am going to reduce some because I really don't need it all. So I am just going to place down my ruler and trim. And that's my glue flap now. It's not that big wide piece. And I'll do the same thing over here. I'm just going to place it down and trim. You could actually save these pieces if you wanted and use these to make bookmarks at a later date. So now that I have these two pieces just like this, I'm going to go ahead and join these bottom to bottom. So I am just going to take my tape. I am going to place tape on this piece. And I'll place tape right here. And I know that when I made the other bag using tape, some of you didn't want to use as much tape as I was using. Guys, that is totally up to you. If you want to use the same amount of tape or if you want to use less, that is completely up to you. And so I'll take this piece and we're going to match it there. So I am going to take some tape and I'm going to place my tape right here. And then I'm going to place a piece right about here. So remember, what I'm doing here is just a blueprint. If you don't want to use the materials that I'm using, you certainly don't have to. If you don't want to use the amount of tape that I'm using, you don't have to do that either. It's just a blueprint to help spur ideas in ways that we can use those things that we ordinarily would overlook in our crafting. So I'm going to peel away my tape. And then I'm going to take the piece that has the flaps and I'm going to place it on top of the piece on which we remove the flaps. And really, once that tape sticks, it is stuck. So now we have our working piece. This is what we're going to be using to make the bag. And so now I can bring in my contact paper, and I'm using a piece that is wide enough to be able to cover this because I will be folding over at the tops. So just make sure that you have a piece that is wide enough to cover it, and I'm using a piece that is approximately 28 inches long. So I have peeled away the backer from the contact paper, and I'm just going to place this down. And I'm going to use my finger blade to trim out the excess. So you just go all the way around, trimming out the excess and following your pattern. And I don't know about you guys, but I love this black and white contact paper from the Dollar Tree. So then once we have it trimmed out at the top, I am just going to angle in just a little bit. Then I'm going to take my metal ruler and just butt it against the body of the bag. And then I'll fold this over because I do want that finished top on my bag. And so then we'll just do the same thing on the other side. So I am just going around and trimming out the excess contact paper. I'm just following the shape of the bag. And then when I get to this end, I'll just go ahead, angle in on both sides. Then I'm going to take my ruler, place my ruler down, and I have my ruler butted up against the plastic. And now we can take this piece and we can fold it over. And guys, if you find that you have any bubbles in your contact paper, and I do have some small bubbling, I'm not going to let that bother me, but if you have a big bubble, just take a pin or something that you can just poke to release that air. It won't even show. And then you just take your big old spatula or whatever you're using to go back over the top and get rid of those bubbles, just like that. So now I can go back and fold on my score marks all the way across my bag. And this is a very pliable material, but it does have a little stiffness to it as well. So just know that going into it, it might take a little bit of elbow grease when you're going over your score marks. So then I'm going to take a piece of scrap contact paper and just place it down right in there to cover where my tape was showing. Okay, so now we're going to go through the process of taping this and getting it ready to be put together. I am just going to take a piece of tape and I'm going to add that tape to both of these side pieces. So I added tape here and I added tape here. So then on these narrow panels, I am going to take a piece of my tape, and I'm using 1-inch tape, guys, and I'm going to take that tape and put it right there. Then I'll come over to this side, do the same thing, put my tape right there. So I don't have any tape right here. My tape is on the outside where the contact paper is. Then on the inside of this panel, I have 2 small pieces of tape. Then on the outside of this panel, I am going to add my tape right here, coming all the way to the top. And I'll trim it away. Then I'll do the same thing on this side. I'm going to add my tape right there, going all the way to the top. And I'll trim away the excess. And then on my wide panels, I am just going to take my tape and I'll take 1 strip of my 1-inch tape and I'm going to lay it down along the edge. And that's all the tape that I'm placing there. Then I'll come over to this side and do the same thing. I'm going to go right to the edge and place that 1-inch strip of tape. And now I'm going to use my big old spatula just to make sure that all of my tape that I have put down is nice and stuck. And so now we can start putting this together. So we're going to peel away this piece and then we'll peel away this piece. And we'll just join the pieces right there. We're going to do the same thing on this side. So I'll peel away that inside piece, peel away this piece, and then I'll get it stuck just like that. And then we're going to take this piece and just join it to this piece. So I'm just going to squeeze that a little bit just to make sure I have a nice crease. Now I can peel away that tape from here. And then I'll peel away the tape from the inside here. And so now I can take this piece and when I put it down, I'm going to make sure I'm matching it at the top. And then I'll just come along the bottom with my hand to guide it down. Then I can go on the inside with my big old spatula and get everything nice and stuck. If you find that you have any hanging over at the bottom, and I have just a little bit, I'm going to use my scissors and trim that away. So we'll do the same thing over here. So I am going to peel away my tape backer from here and from here. So when you put your tape on in the way that I showed you, then there are only going to be certain ways that this bag can go together because you'll know how to match up the tape based on how you put it on. So now I'm going to take this piece and we're going to get it matched at the top, edge to edge. Then I can just guide it down just like that. I don't have any hanging over the bottom here. So now I can go on the inside here, get that nice and stuck. You're going to have a bag that needs to be molded into shape. And as I like to say, shown who's boss. So just go back and pinch, and you can get it to take that nice shape that you want. Then, just like with any other bag, you can take these sides and pinch them to give it that bag look. So there's our gorgeous little bag, y'all. So then I have some scraps that are from some of the placemat crafting that I've done. And remember when I said if you have some scraps left over, go ahead and cut them out into 1-inch strips. That way you can use them for handles on your project. That's exactly what I'm going to do here. So I don't need to cut up anything special. I already have these strips cut and stored in a box. So I am just going to use these two. They look more like a deep, 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 deep green, but they're going to work on this bag. So I am going to use my scissors just to sort of shape that end. And I'll do the same thing on this one. And then I'll do the same thing on this one. And I am going to place my tape on both ends. And I'll just place the tape down first, and then I'll go back and clean it up. And when I was putting my tape on, I was actually putting it on the wrong side. I need to be adding the tape to the colored side of my handle so that when I place it on the inside, I have the look that I want. So I'm going to take this handle and I'm just going to place it in until I get to where I have that tape. And then I'll take this piece and I'm going to do the same thing. We place it where we have the tape, and that guarantees that we have our bag nice and even, and it's going to be even on the back side as well. So I'm going to go ahead and place my tape. So now that I have my tape on here, I am going to take this piece, place it down, and I'll take this piece and I'll place it down, and my handles are nice and even. And so now I'm going to take my paper piercer and I am going to pierce 2 holes on each handle. If you have a hole punch, you can certainly use that. I am just going to use my paper piercer. So I'm just going to punch that hole. And I'll try to get that even and punch that hole there. Okay, so now that I have my holes punched, I am going to be using some of these little metal snap rivets. Now I'm calling them snaps or rivets. That's what I'm choosing to call them. If this is not what you call them, that's okay, but that is what I'm calling them, metal snap rivets. And I have a link in the description box for these. So you'll have one piece that'll have the prong on it like that. I'm going to take that piece, put it through the hole, and I'll take my other piece, put it through the hole, and they'll go on and look like that. Then you'll have the little small snap-on head, and all you have to do is take that, put it on, and you'll hear that snap. And I'll go ahead and do both sides of the front with you guys, and then I'll do the back off camera. So I am just punching those through, and I'll take my 2 snap heads, put those on. Now if you don't set these permanently, they can be pulled apart and removed, but I am going to set mine permanently, and I am going to do so using my chunky little hammer. The way that I'm going to do this is not the way that a professional setter would do it. I'm doing it in a way that works for me. So if you are a professional setter and this is going to bother you, please look away. So I'm just going to take my hammer and I go inside, and I'm basically pounding those until the snap is tight. And so now my snaps are on here permanently. They are not coming off. I'm going to do the other side off camera and I'll be right back. And now that I have my rivets on, I have this flower that has this contrasting pop of color. I have added some hot glue to the back. I'm going to put that right there because I really do like that little pop of color. And the flowers that I'm using are from Petaloo, and the SKU is 2184796. And so there we have it, y'all. We have a complete water-resistant bag. When finished, this bag measures 8 by 8 by 3. It is a really nice size bag. It is very chic looking. So we used about 1/3 of our roll to cover this. So we used about 33 cents worth of contact paper. And we used $1 to make the actual cutting mat purse. Then I used scrap for my handle, and I used 1 flower from this pack, and it was $2. There are 4 flowers in here, so I used 25 cents for my flower. So we really did make this bag for well under $3. So I'm going to bring that first one back in. On this one, I used some leftover peel and stick wallpaper that I had, and I had been using it on other projects, so I used leftover for this. And then we have this beautiful black and white. Y'all, aren't these just gorgeous? I hope that you have liked this project, and if you have, please hit the like button. And if you're not a subscriber to my channel, I would love to have you join this amazing online crafting family. You guys, as always, please be safe, be kind, happy crafting, and we'll chat later. Bye.